Hi everyone, Empress Justice here, and welcome to the Uttara Bhadrapada new moon reading for the 19th of March 2026. Now, before I get into the reading, I just want to let you guys know that if you want to know exactly how the Uttara Bhadrapada new moon is likely to affect you, both the Uttara Bhadrapada new moon and the Ostara astrological event, if you want to know how those particular events are going to affect you, do me a favor and go back to Purva Palguni, 3rd of March, 2026. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the houses that needed to be focused on during the lunar eclipse, during the full moon in Purva Palguni, are exactly the same houses that need to be focused on now. So go ahead and look at the lunar eclipse readings for the 3rd of March 2026. Pisces and Scorpio, you have your own readings, right? You have your own readings, you have your own shorts on Empress Justice Astrology, and it's also on Empress Justice TikTok, okay? So that is an announcement. And also, speaking of announcements, the entirety of March, 50% off all my readings, okay? 50% off all personal readings, all one-to-ones, half price for everybody. If you want to know more about those readings, you can go ahead and check out Empress Justice tarot77@gmail.com. That is going to be the email. That's the only email that I'm taking customers through now. So 50% off for everybody during March. If that sounds good to you, then go ahead and email me with inquiries as to what type of readings you would like to do, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Now, let's get into the reading. So, we have Uttara Bhadrapada, new moon in Pisces, for the 19th of the 3rd, 2026. That's the day before Ostara. So, Uttara Bhadrapada and Ostara are kind of intermingled here. If you want to know more about the 9-year cycle and Ostara, again, Empress Justice Astrology, because it will tie in with this lunar placement. Okay, so incorporate this lunar placement in with that, and you'll get a clearer understanding as to what you should expect. With regards to Uttara Bhadrapada new moon, the lunar path number for Uttara Bhadrapada is 5. Okay, it's the number 5, meaning the number of changes, the number of like experiencing new things or trying new things or embracing changes. When we bring up the number 5, it's usually about physical or material changes, and usually changes that are in line with our destiny. Now, destiny is a combination of what we feel and what we do. So essentially, changes are brought about by what we have manifested. That's what it means with the number 5, right? Changes are brought about by what we have manifested, by what we have put out there, by what we've felt and what we've done. So the number 5 brings about changes that are basically in line with who we are, whether we like those changes or not. And the number 5, it depends upon us being adaptable. It depends upon us being prudent. It depends upon us being careful, being careful without obstacles. It involves learning how to handle disappointment. The number 5 is also about being honest with ourselves and what we actually want to do, right? Being honest with ourselves and the people around us. So number 5, in order to navigate those changes, it takes honesty, and it takes understanding what your true purpose is on this planet, in order to navigate the changes that that we're all going to experience for the new moon, and especially for the next couple of weeks until the full moon. Okay. The next new moon, truth be told, we're going to experience changes up until the next new moon. And it's important, because it's the number 5 once again. It's important that we're honest with ourselves, that we embrace change, that we try new things physically and materially, and that we are adaptable to our circumstance. And the best way to bring this out in us, ironically, is, well, it's self-expression, it's authenticity. It's in us expressing ourselves, not only creatively, but expressing ourselves in general. Just being more expressive, being more authentic. Also focusing more on the positive aspects of ourselves, the positive aspects of our authenticity as well. That's going to be important, and leading other people as much as we can through hope and positivity. Now, I'm not necessarily about hope and love and light and all that type of stuff. I'm usually quite a, I'm not into the cynicism either, but I'm usually quite a realistic person. But the more we see everything as opportunities, is the better we are to adapt to the changes that are going to be coming that we can't control. Okay, so that's the lunar path number 5. And when it comes to the big 5, we've got Uttara Bhadrapada, Sun and Moon, of course, in Pisces. We've got Shatabisha retrograde, Mercury retrograde. I talk about that at length during the Ostara reading. But the Lagna and the midheaven are different. We have the Jeshta Lagna for the Uttara Bhadrapada new moon, and we have the Chitra midheaven in Virgo. So the ascendant and the midheaven are different because, of course, they change every day. In fact, even quicker than that. So those are what we're working with for the lunar, for this particular lunar transit. And when it comes to that, it means that we are about to go all in. And I've talked about this before. I talked about this with Ostara. We're about to go all in with the things and the people that we love. We're about to go all in. That's what we're going to do. We're going to love fiercely. But what that usually means is that we're also going to dislike fiercely. And with that Chitra midheaven, we're likely to saber rattle. And that kind of falls in line with Shatabisha, Mercury in retrograde, because Shatabisha already likes to start shit. Shatabisha already likes to destabilize harmony. Destabilize the harmony of others in order to destabilize its own, because Shatabisha does not do well in stone walls, right? Shatabisha likes to be open. Shatabisha likes to be free. It doesn't do well inside stone walls. So if it can't disrupt its own harmony, it will disrupt other people's harmony. And then with that retrograde there, that instinct towards rebellion and wanting to be open and free, that will meet a lot of opposition. Mercury retrograde will have people wanting to be free, wanting to bust out and be free. And that will be met with a lot of opposition from everyone else. And because of that, what's actually important is that we turn away from self-sabotage. We turn away from, trying to be rebellious, and we put more energy towards trying to be, kind and considerate with our loved ones, kind and considerate with the people that are right in front of us. Shatabisha is in our collective 4th house. So I feel like with our home lives in particular, we're going to want to start some ruckers, like transit wise. We're going to want to start some ruckers, but we need to slow down. We need to slow our roll a little bit here for the next 30 days. We need to slow our roll a little bit, because it will have us, because with that 4th house, Shatabisha 4th house, our private lives are going to be the thing that we're naturally going to want to upend. But when we try to do that, we are going to be met with massive opposition when we do that. So we need to just chill out for now. When it comes to our home lives, we need to focus on on the best that we can get. We need to focus on the best we can get. We need to focus on maintaining as much harmony in our private lives as possible. And when it comes to our careers, our public lives, that is where we should focus our revolutionary desires. Only then we need to manage it carefully. Do you understand what I mean? We need to release our rebellious side into public life and not private life. Private life is not the place for that. Okay. With the Chitra midheaven, That's in our collective 11th house. So, oh man. So like you're talking about like with Shatabisha Mercury retrograde, and you're talking about like Chitra midheaven in the 11th, like as a collective, we're talking about saber rattling in our communities. We're talking about saber rattling in our communities. So like in that Ostara reading, I talked about everybody clicking off, and that's true, but there's also going to be infighting. There's also going to be infighting amongst cliques, and this is the type of thing where only the most ruthless and ambitious survive. This is not a game we want to play. This is going to be a game where whilst everybody's fighting amongst each other, it's going to be the most ruthless people that make it out, or that make it through, or become successful. It's going to be the most ambitious people who don't have a side that are going to be the most likely to make it. So yes, saber rattling. We really need to be careful of that shit. And the horrible part is that like a lot of people will do this to each other in a way where other people can't reach them. It's one of those things. Like when it comes to community, we will test each other in a way that like we can't touch each other for it. We can't put hands on each other for it. And that type of resentment tends to build, and it tends to be sent out into the universe, right? That's what communities are going to do. They're going to do to each other. They're going to implode. Shit, I saw that shit yesterday. Communities are going to implode because of, you know, it just this need to just prod everybody else's ego but our own. So we really need to be careful of that. We need to be careful that the ferocity of our love and the ferocity of what we believe, we need to be careful that that doesn't spill over into attacking the people closest to us. We need to be careful that it doesn't stray into that. Okay, so yeah, let me read the rest of this reading here. So we've got a sun and moon conjunct Saturn and Neptune. The good part about the Saturn and Neptune conjunction is that it can result in spiritual certainty. It can result in understanding where your place is on the spiritual hierarchy, like understanding, not even spiritual hierarchy, but like just understanding what your true beliefs are, like what the foundation of your beliefs are. Like, you know, that's the good part about it. The bad part about it is that we're talking about religious struggle here. We're talking about people being split according to their religion and according to their beliefs. So there is a strengthening of spiritual certainty. That's a good thing. But then the bad side is that Saturn and Neptune together, that's the illusion of certainty. So we have spiritual certainty in the sense that we are connected with our emotions and we're connected to the divine. But then we have the illusion of spiritual certainty, which is religion. Religion is likely to be just as strong as spiritual certainty. So that's something that we need to watch out for. We really would need to watch out for that. And then we've got sun and moon sextiling. Okay, maybe this isn't that bad. Okay, we've got sun and moon sextiling Critica, Uranus. So there are going to be changes made, but transit is sextile. Likely to be changes or abrupt changes that are not so abrupt. They are likely to be changes that, even though we don't necessarily like them, that we're more likely to be able to adapt to. With that Critica Uranus, it's likely to be changes that come around that are related to how we see ourselves physically. Uranus and Critica, there are changes to how we see ourselves physically and how we see our bodies and how we see the nourishment of our bodies. There are changes to that. And I feel like those changes may not harm all of us all that much, actually. I feel like with some people, they will have a change of attitude when it comes to their bodies. That's actually quite healthy. But there's also changes in general to material life that might not be as shocking or as unsettling as we fear. might not be that bad. So that sextile with Uranus might not be that bad, might result in changes that are not that upsetting, right? But then it gets into tricky territory because we've got to talk about the ascendant squared Mercury retrograde and Mars. A lot of saber rattling. We've got Jeshta Lagna, Chitra midheaven, square, and we've got the Lagna squared Mercury retrograde and Mars. A lot of a lot of talking shit. A lot of saber rattling. Okay, a lot of saber rattling, a lot of rattling people's cages, rattling one another's cages. It's like, if I had to give you an allegory for this, it's like, I don't know if you've seen that video of two dogs. So there's two dogs on either side of a gate, and they're both snarling and barking at each other, snarling and barking like, "Hurr, hurr, hurr," and it's like the gate's in the way. So it's just these two dogs going at it with the gate between them, and they're like, "Hurr, hurr, hurr," and as soon as that gate parts, they're mellow. They mellow out. They don't say anything. They don't bark. They don't attack each other either. It's just shit talking. Shit talking. It's like these dogs are barking from behind the gate, right? Like gates in between them, and they're like, "Hurr, hurr, hurr," and then you got the gate opening up, and then crickets. The gates open, crickets. Now, if you're a targeted individual like me, that's just called a Monday. But like collectively, that's what's happening. A lot of people are going to talk a lot of shit, but as soon as they see each other, or as soon as they oh, hi. Yeah. Scary. Fuck out of here. But that's exactly what we're going to be on. We're going to be on like talking a lot of shit, especially online. Now with me, I tend to be exactly the person that I am, especially when people confront me. I tend to stand on my square and mean what I say, but a lot of people are not like that. A lot of people are not like that. And nowhere is that more evident than in the world right now. In the world, a lot of people talk a lot of shit, but they don't really mean it, because as soon as they get face to face with the people that they're talking about, "Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, hi," or when they hear somebody else speaking harshly about them, they're going to be like, "I don't deserve that. I don't deserve that." No, you're going to talk all types of shit, but please don't hurt my feelings. But that's again, usually the life of a TI, but that's what we're going to collectively do. Now, this is something that I endeavor to avoid doing, but a lot of people are going to be talking that shit. But as soon as they get it back, and as soon as they get it back just as harsh, suddenly it's out of pocket. But it's going to be collectively across the board with the majority of people, especially the majority of people who are in mainstream society, I'm sorry to say, because Rahu is still in Shatabisha. Yeah, a lot of people who integrate with the mainstream are going to be talking that shit. Talking. As soon as they meet each other, "Oh, hi. Huh." Please. Anyway, we got the ascendant trine Revati Venus. Oh, you see, this is interesting to talk about because Revati is actually Venus exalt. Venus is exalt in not only Pisces, but Pisces in Revati. So this is interesting to talk about. We're talking about how Venus represents the nourished inner child. Venus represents the nourished inner child. So it feels like a lot of people are healing their relationship with love, healing their relationship with abundance at the same time, or the saber rattling is going on. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all like, everybody's talking shit. Like, no, like there's a lot of love there. And, there's themes around love and themes around affection that are going to experience a healing period. So as much as we kind of, the collective or the mainstream collective kind of descend or kind of devolve when it comes to their handling of aggression, when it comes to everybody's handling of love, that takes a more evolved path. It takes a more evolved path. Our understanding of love, this is why we need to pour our energy into relationships, because our relationships and our relationships with other people, our relationship with love, that's going to improve. That's going to improve. And I know that the trying is usually like, it usually encourages complacency. Not this time. Not this time. It just encourages a healing of our understanding of love and a healing of our understanding of, abundance and unity and things like that. Like, we're going to evolve in these themes. It's the beautiful side of love. It's the abundant side of love. It's the rich side of love. It's a side of love that sees our differences like being celebrated with the people that we love, rather than dismissed. Okay. Now, I've got to have a look at this ascendant. Let me have a look at this more carefully. I'm trying to figure out if this is an inconjunct or a semi-sextile with Punavasu Jupi. Hang on a minute. While I get to that, I'm going to get to Mercury, because sometimes I forget when it comes to the minor aspects. I'm still new to this. Well, I'm not new to this astrology thing, but when it comes to inconjunction, semi-sextiles, my mind gets confused. I'm going to move on to Mercury. Okay, so Mercury retrograde, Mars and Rahu. Basically saying much of what I've said before. There's going to be a lot of saber rattling. Hang on. Hold on. There's going to be a lot of saber rattling, a lot of talking shit, like I said before, because of that Mercury retrograde with Mars and Rahu, and especially with the mainstream society. But again, quiet as mice when they actually have to confront each other or confront anybody different to them. 1 second. So it basically says much of what I've said before. Yeah, just a lot of shit talking. Just a lot of shit talking. Okay, so yeah, like I said before, we need to focus more on our relationships, because of how much evolving those things are doing. Like, our relationships are evolving big time. Yeah, so we need to focus on what and who we love, because our relationship with that is improving. 1 second. So yeah. Okay, so I've gotten to Mercury retrograde conjunct Mars and Rahu. Now I'm going to get back to the Lagna in conjunct Punavasu. So this in conjunction is like a minor aspect. It's tricky, but it's like a minor aspect. There will be some tension with Jupi. There will be some tension with wider ideas, wider knowledge, like collective blessings and things like that. There will be some yeah, there will be some yeah, there will be some problems with regards to that. There will be some difficulties when it comes to the Punavasu Jupi in Gemini, but they're not going to be that bad. They're not going to be that bad. It's just that It's like we'll have this desire to move forward, move on from the past. But in order for us to have specific blessings in our lives, we need to go back to the past. We need to learn lessons from the past again, but like not in the sense that we need to rest in nostalgia, but in the sense that we need to like understand our past selves in new ways. Okay. Sooner or later, it always comes back to that. And interestingly, with that Mercury retrograde, it's trined Purnavasu in Jupi. So that Mercury Jupiter trine, it means with past, this is why when it comes to Mercury retrograde, we need to really think before we do something, because Mercury retrograde is all about going back to the past in order to figure things out, to see what we've missed. It's a review stage. So we've got a review stage in Shatabisha Mercury retrograde trining with a Jupiter that is all about seeking the truth from past situations. So this is a perfect time for us to slow our roll and review our past situations. Do you understand? It's a perfect time for us to do that. Do you understand what I mean? It's a perfect time for us to really, really think about what we need to learn from our past and what we need to review before we say anything. It's not like you shouldn't talk. It's not like you shouldn't write. It's not like you shouldn't communicate. We have to fucking do that. We literally have to do that. But unless we understand things from our past more clearly, unless we understand what we've done or what we've communicated or what our reasoning is more clearly, we're going to end up pissing people off, and we're going to end up wanting to do it just for the sake of doing it, just to provoke each other. And Shatabisha is in Mercury retrograde. A lot of people in the mainstream might get away with it too, but it doesn't mean it's good practice. You know, the irony is that the only nakshatra that might not be able to get away with this is Shatabisha. The only sign that might not be able to get away with it is Aquarius. Topsy-turvy. Okay, and then we've got Mercury conjunct Venus. We've got, no, not Mercury, midheaven in opposition to Venus. And we've got the midheaven biquintile Mars, and we've got the midheaven squared Jupiter. So yeah, we're going to want to look at everybody else's ego and everybody else's, but it's like our past selves are waiting for us to take blessings and lessons from what we understand about our past selves. But there's that clash with us wanting to challenge other people and their egos before we've challenged ourselves. And also, we might be like, some people might be complacent in their desire to to remind everybody else of what they should be doing and how they need to handle things. Like, what about us though? Because the truth about who we are, the truth about our past selves could lead to some major blessings in our lives. What about us? Why are we looking at other people? So we got the midheaven biquintile Mars. Makes sense. It's usually like biquintile is usually somewhat harmonious to Mars, right? But again, it just proves what I'm saying about the midheaven, about saber rattling, and about how we proceed forward. Gonna be talking a lot of shit. We're going to be talking a lot of shit. We're gonna be like really coming for each other here. Okay? We're gonna be coming for each other. Biquintile Mars. Yeah, we're gonna be coming for each other. We're gonna be like they're talking that shit. And again, because of it's a biquintile, it's not going to be as adversarial as it should be, but it's still going to be like a writing checks that you can't cash type of situation. And again, this is especially with mainstream society. Just be in the world and not of it at this point. I'm just saying, all right? And then we've got that midheaven in opposition to Venus. This is so interesting because it just reinforces everything that I've been saying. We're going to want to saber rattle, but it's weird because at the time where our relationship with enmity is getting more aggravated and more aggressive, our relationship with love is becoming more harmonious, more, more, it's becoming more cohesive. Like our relationship with love is getting stronger and more beautiful and, more wonderful. And our relationship with goals and with ambitions and with assertiveness, it seems to be devolving because it's about point scoring rather than what's right and, rather than what's appropriate. So I feel like when it comes to warfare, the greatest warriors that ever lived are the ones that never needed a war. It's important to remember that. So that's a pretty short reading. But then again, it was always going to be a short reading. If you need to know more about the 12 signs, once again, look to a full moon in Purva Palguni on Empress Justice Astrology. Look to those readings. There are shorts for Pisces and Scorpio. Those readings are very short, but they're very timely. And yes, you will know exactly what needs to be done. Okay? Now, I am Empress Justice, and I will see you for the next lunar reading. Okay? I love you. Take care. Bye. Mwah. Bye-bye.